everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reading another scary story from Reddit. The story I'm reading on Reddit was posted by Good Day and Good Night, and I just want to say I'm not trying to steal anyone's stories. I did not make this story up myself, and I'm only reading it because I think it's a really interesting story and I think other people would like to hear it too. If you are the creator of this story and you don't want me to be reading this up on YouTube, then please just let me know and I will 100% take this video down. Other than that, there's one more thing I wanted to say. I just wanted to say that there is some talk about suicide in the second part of this series. So if you get triggered by talk about suicide or anything like that, then please do not watch this video. This video that I'm going to be reading is called My Old YouTube Video is Different Than I Remember. Part 1. My old YouTube video is different than I remember. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I've watched the video maybe a dozen times now, and I've seen the same thing every single time. Let me explain a little bit. I'm in my mid-20s now, and back in 2008, I received a camcorder for my birthday. It wasn't very big, maybe the size of a half a loaf of bread. Smartphones were just beginning to become a thing, and I had this crummy little flip phone that was hardly capable of taking a photo consisting of more than 10 pixels, much less any watchable video. Anyway, my best friend and I, Emily, fooled around with it, making music videos and just goofing off as teenagers like to do. Eventually, we uploaded a few videos on YouTube. I would link them here, but there's too much identifying information in them. We weren't hoping to be YouTube stars, and trust me, we didn't end up being famous. Our most watched video now has an astonishing 392 views to date. We just thought it would be fun to post our own videos when we saw YouTubers like Smosh and Fred doing the same. Fast forward to 10 years later. I'm sitting at home, missing Emily as I moved halfway across the country a few years ago, so I decided to go to the old channel. I wasn't even sure it would be up at first, but there it was, a time capsule, the same as we left it. We have a total of 5 videos on the channel. 2 are music videos, really just us lip-syncing and dancing around off beat. And the others are us messing around and doing random things like playing with my dog. I went through all the videos and found myself laughing at how random and quirky we thought we were and cringing at my awful dancing during Skater Boy. It was all normal and exactly how I remembered it. I mean, it was until I got to the last video. We were in my basement and I can't say there was any sort of premise to the video. Some of it consisted of Emily doing cartwheels or myself trying to do cartwheels and running into the wall. The basement of this house was mostly unfinished, so it was really just a cement square with the stairs coming down in the middle, so there were walls blocking your view from one side to the next. We walked around in a circle around the basement as we laughed and goofed off, but as soon as we got to the left side in the video, I froze in my seat watching it. In the background, I saw a dark figure. For a moment, I thought I imagined it, but we walked a little closer in the video, oblivious. "Claire, you cannot do a cartwheel," Emily laughed. I was filming, so her face was on screen. She had heavy bags and a face that was riddled with that lovely teenage acne. I kept the camera on her face and we kept walking. That's when the figure was in full sight, in the dark, in the shadows, but there it was. It was Emily. I knew it because she was wearing her favorite sweatshirt. She was hanging from a noose, her body limp and lifeless. The me today screamed when I saw it. I haven't seen the video probably since it was posted, but I know I would have seen that, or Emily would have. I paused the video. It was zeroed in on Emily's live face, but her hanging body was over her shoulder, swaying just slightly like long grass in the wind. But younger me didn't say anything about the body. She didn't notice it. I continued watching the video in a trance almost. We walked around the basement, giggling and laughing, and passed by the spot once more. The body was still there. That's when I paused the video and called Emily. She didn't pick up, but she goes to bed early, even on Saturday nights, so I called her a few more times, my head heavy with worry, but she was still asleep. I've rewatched the video so many times now, and each time, the body is there in the background and we are completely oblivious to it. I rewatched the rest of the videos and nothing is out of the ordinary in them. I'm trying to be rational about it. Maybe it was a Halloween prop, or maybe we had it there to scare people watching it. I can't think of another reason, and I'm not going to accept another reason. Not now, or I won't be able to sleep tonight. I will talk to Emily tomorrow when she's awake. Maybe she remembers some stupid prank or prop that I don't. She has to. So, that's the end of part 1. I'm going to read part 2 for you today as well, and then next Friday I will read part 3. On Saturday night, I couldn't get the thought of Emily out of my head. Honestly, I'm a worrier, and I have a tendency to, well, worry. But this was something beyond that. It was less of a sense of impending doom and more of a nuclear bomb that had already detonated. I texted Emily a bunch of times before I called her, and it took 3 calls before I could reach her. Hello? She sounded groggy, like she'd just woken up. Emily, oh thank God, I was scared. I sighed while my heart pounded through my chest. You okay, Claire Bear? I am, but I was scared about you. There was a silence on the other end of the phone for a few moments. What do you mean? I tried to think of how to explain it without sounding like I was crazy. We've known each other since middle school, and in that time, Emily has tried to commit suicide twice. She's been stable for years now. She even just got engaged a few months ago and bought a house with her fiancé. Remember those old YouTube videos we made? Ugh, don't remind me. I could practically hear her wince over the phone. Well, I watched them a few hours ago. You don't remember my house having a decoration of a girl hanging from a noose in my basement, do you? No, I don't. But your family is crazy about Halloween. Christ, Claire Bear, is that why you called me at 3 in the morning? A Halloween decoration? I just wanted to make sure you're doing okay. That you're not thinking about... I trailed off, the words killing yourself too heavy for my lips. No! Christ, I'm fine, she said abruptly. You know I've been fine for years. I didn't know what else to say. Just, if something's wrong, you know you can tell me, right? She made a noise of annoyance. I am fine. What else do I need to say to convince you? I was just worried. Well, stop worrying. Everything's fine. Good night, Claire. Her words were heavy with annoyance. Emily hung up the phone before I could say another word. When I tried calling her back, her phone went straight to voicemail. I didn't leave one. That was the last time I ever spoke to Emily. I hardly slept at all that night, worries flying around in my head like a swarm of wasps. Just at the break of dawn, I was jolted awake by the sound of my phone ringing. I had put it on the loudest volume in case Emily decided to call me back. It wasn't Emily, though. It was her fiancé, Tyler. Tyler was my other best friend when I was a kid. Yes, it's possible to have more than one best friend. Emily actually met Tyler through me, since he didn't go to our school, but he was my mom's friend's son. It might sound like a weird relationship, me being best friends with my best friend's fiancé, but I assure you that my relationship with Tyler has always been platonic. Yet, Tyler and I haven't spoken for several months. That's why my heart dropped in my chest when the name Tyler Fisher showed up on my phone. If my heart had dropped a foot when I saw the image of Emily hanging in the video, now it dropped to the center of the earth. I stared at the phone as if it were a snake that would bite me for a few moments as the annoying ringtone continued. When I finally picked up the phone, I could hear crying on the other end. It took a few moments of me saying, "Tyler," to get a response. "It's Emily. She killed herself," he said through terrible sobs. I felt numb. I knew I should have felt pain or anguish, but he may as well have told me it was raining. I didn't know what to say. "I'm going to drive out there today. I'm really sorry. I'll be there for you." I took the week off from work. I had used some vacation time because bereavement and the funeral don't cover more than 2 days, despite Emily being my best friend. But I would be useless at work this week anyway. It is an anguishing 14-hour-long car ride through endless miles of flat land and cornfields into the Midwest from the West. That meant I had plenty of time to think about things while I drove. I thought about the video again and again and again, and I played the last conversation in my head on repeat. Emily didn't like to talk about her past with depression. It made sense that she would react that way, I thought, but it wasn't like stories I've heard about final conversations at all. I knew the warning signs, the saying goodbyes or making final plans. I may have been 1,000 miles away, but as far as I knew, Emily hadn't been doing any of those things. I had just spoken to her a week before, and she was telling me how she planned on having a fall wedding in 2019 when the leaves were at their peak. At one point during the drive, I made it to a rest stop, and it finally hit me what happened. Emily was gone. There was nothing I could do to change that. She would never have that fall wedding. I broke down in my car, unable to move or drive for 2 hours. If you've ever lost someone close to you, then you know that deep, utter anguish that is like no other pain in the world. I didn't know what it was like until then. At that moment, I realized that I could have saved Emily. I should have called Tyler and asked him to keep an eye on her. The guilt is like carrying a truck on my shoulders. I called my mom and told her that I was on my way when I regained composure. I also asked about the decoration. The thing is, we never had a Halloween decoration of a hanging body. We might have been crazy about Halloween, but she said we never had anything that dark. She said that my grief must be warping my memories. I agreed with her, unable to accept an alternative truth. I've only ever been to my grandparents' funerals. When I arrived at the wake at Emily's parents' house, I learned that this was something else entirely. Misery and despair was etched into most everyone's faces. Tyler looked as though he had been through his own personal war zone. I mostly kept with our friends from high school and watched people offer their condolences to Tyler. He nodded and thanked them each time, but I could tell it did as good as offering socks to someone who just lost their feet to frostbite. He was the one who found her dead and called 911. When I got the chance, I pulled him aside away from the other guests into the family study. I didn't want to offer him the same useless sympathies. I closed the door behind us. "You seem to be doing well," I lied. She would want me to keep pulling through. "It's hard, though." I nodded. "Listen, this is going to seem really weird, but was she wearing that sweater I knitted her?" He furrowed his eyebrows. "How did you know?" "I can't explain it. I don't think you'll believe me anyway." There was desperation in his eyes. "Try me." I told him about the video, and then about the phone call I had with Emily the night before she passed. But that's not possible. No one but me, her parents, and the first responders know that she hanged herself. "And I looked through her phone." He trailed off. "It showed the last time you two talked was a week ago. I remember because it showed that the call lasted 2 hours. I pulled out my phone. The 5 texts and call were all there from Saturday night. So I knew I wasn't crazy now. Or at least, I wasn't 100% insane. I tried to keep staying rational. I guess he could have deleted the texts and calls. I don't know. I keep having this feeling that something else terrible is going to happen," I told him. "How am I supposed to process this?" he said. He sat on the sofa and I plopped down beside him. I thought about pulling up the video, but something inside of me knew that there was something very wrong about it. Yet, he insisted upon seeing it. When it got to the part with the body, it was gone. The video was as it had been all those years ago. No hanging body, just a dark, creepy basement in the background. "No, that's not right. I swear I saw her right there." He looked at me seriously, and I could tell that he believed me. "If you didn't tell me what you did a few minutes ago or show me your phone, I'd say that you were full of shit." Tyler shook his head and buried it in his hands. A knock on the door interrupted us. Tyler was supposed to say some words about Emily, and we didn't get a chance to speak the rest of the night after that. It was an open casket funeral. I visited Emily once and gave her a final goodbye. She looked nothing like herself, even less so than artificially preserved corpses usually did. Emily never wore makeup, yet her cheeks were rosy with blush and her eyelids had eyeshadow on, and her normally messy hair looked like it had been brushed and styled neatly. If Emily could see herself, she would have laughed at the mortician's job on her. Then she would have been disappointed. I only remembered then that she had once told me in passing that she wanted to be cremated and that burials were a waste of space. I'm staying at my mom's house. It's not the same house we filmed the videos in, as my parents sold it when they divorced. Writing this somewhere makes me feel a little less crazy and get those trapped thoughts out of my head. My mom is helping me through this pain. I'm not sure what I would do without her. I've still been having that awful feeling that something terrible will happen, but I've chalked it up to grief. About an hour ago, Tyler texted me. He wants to come over tonight, says he can't stand being alone. It's hard for him to ask for help, so there was no way I was going to refuse. I know some of you have been asking for the video, but as I said, there's too much identifying information in it. We were stupid teens, and I wore my softball jersey with my high school and my own last name in one of the videos, and I'm sure people could deduce Emily's identity from that if they found me on Facebook. Plus now, there's nothing to show with the video back to normal. I wish I would have taken a screenshot at least. If the video goes back to how it was before, I will try to get a screenshot, but I'm really, really hoping that doesn't happen. I honestly wasn't sure about writing this update at first. It may not seem like it when you can only see writing and not hear my pathetic sobs, but these past few days have been hard. I changed my mind about writing this when I saw that I had a voicemail today. It said it was Emily. I thought maybe someone had her phone and called me by accident, but I now know that's not the case after I listened to it. "Hey Claire Bear," she said. It was Emily. No one other than her called me that, and it was her distinctively chipper voice. "Look, I'm sorry about freaking out on you last night. It's just, that's a touchy subject for me, you know? Anyway, I hope you're not mad at me. Call me back. Love ya. Bye." When I called back, it said the phone was no longer in service. I'm going to tell Tyler about it when he gets here. I'll update when I can. And that is the end of part 2. I can tell you that I did skim through part 3, and it gets very interesting. So I would definitely come back to continue listening to this story because I can't wait to see what happens, and I hope you guys can't either because there are many more twists to this story. Thank you so much for watching this video, you guys. I really appreciate it. And if you like videos like this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.